Okay guys, so this is Cyclespeed again. In this video we're going to discuss three things: how float works, number one; number two, the two types of orders and how float affects them; then number three, how to identify a few locations where you can get the most orders depending on the types of orders you want. So first thing we have to discuss is the types of orders. Okay, so the types of orders we have are parcel orders, and we also have food orders. Parcel orders, we call them delivery orders. Food orders, we call them daily orders, right? Those who are already familiar with these terms. But if you're new, these are two types of orders you'll be dealing with as a Yango delivery rider or a cyclist. Okay, so let's start with the parcel orders. Okay, so parcel orders, you get paid in cash. So that means when you get a delivery order, say it says you go and get a delivery order from town and deliver it to let's say go and get a delivery order from Southgate, deliver it to Kamwala, right? And the order shows that you'll be paid 40 kwacha for that delivery. If you go and get that parcel and you deliver it, you'll be paid 40 kwacha in cash. All right, so now you're wondering, how does float work for this order you've done? Okay, so you can consider float for parcel orders like you paying the government, Yango, and us tax for that order that you have done. Okay, so let's say in your float account you have 100 kwacha, right? So the 100 kwacha you have in your float account is what Yango will deduct, okay, depending on the amount you got for the order. So for example, order you had is 40 kwacha. Yango will get about 14%, okay, of that 40 kwacha, which in this case, let's say is like 4 kwacha. That's how much they'll get from your float. So all you have to know is that every time you do an order, you complete an order, Yango will deduct a certain amount from your float depending on the amount for the order that you completed. It's that simple. So all you have to know is that your float has to be topped up so that every time you get an order, Yango gets a cut, okay? Because they're a company, that's how they make money. All right, those are parcel orders, and that's how float works for parcel orders. All right, the locations where you get the most orders for parcel orders, which are very common, right? You have to go to places that are busy. Okay, so the first place would be like places that have logistics companies, busy places with offices like town center, Kamwala, Kablonga. Those places, you have a lot of delivery orders from those places. You can't be home and expect to get delivery orders, because how Yango works is when someone makes an order on their phone, it looks for someone who's closest to them. Okay, so if a customer makes an order, start looking for a cyclist who's close to that customer, right? So if we know that people in busy areas like Kamwala, okay, make a lot of delivery orders, it will pick those that are near Kamwala for those delivery orders. All right, that's how Yango works for parcel orders. So all you have to know is that the locations I have to go to the busy ones, of course. And if you have someone who has been working for a while as a delivery cyclist or a rider, you can just ask them. They will point you to the right locations where they get the most orders. All right, so that's parcel orders. Let's move to our food orders, right? So food orders, or what we term as daily orders. All right, so daily orders is simple. You when you get an order for daily, let's say point A is always the restaurant, okay? Then point B is the customer, okay? Remember, for parcel orders, point A could be anywhere, okay, where the customer is, where you're going to get that parcel. But for food orders, point A is always the restaurant, okay? So when a person makes an order on daily, right? So let's start by saying so for daily, you need a little bit of more float. So let's say you have 500 in your float, right? Someone makes an order for KFC for 200, right? What Yango will do is they'll get this 200 from your float. So they subtract 200 from your float, you remain with 300 in your float. Then this 200, Yango will send it to, so in this our example, we said they've made an order for KFC, right? Yango has given it to KFC. Okay, so for you as a cyclist, you go by KFC. So this is you go by KFC, right? You show them the order on your phone. So there'll be an order number for the food and everything. So you just show them your phone. They'll give you the KFC, right? So let's say it's a shawarma, right? We'll put it as S. So it's a shawarma. So you get that shawarma for 200. Remember, they've cut a 200 from your float. You're left with 300. You get that shawarma. You take it to the customer. Okay. So the customer gets that shawarma, and the customer gives you back this 200 in cash. Okay. In cash. So all you do is you get this 200. You put it back in your float. You top up in your float. You go back to 500. That's how daily orders work. It's very simple. So in short, it's like you buy for the customers. Imagine if the float system didn't exist. It would just be like you have money in your pocket, then a customer calls you, can you buy for me a shawarma from KFC? Then you buy for them. Then once you deliver that shawarma, they give you back the money, right? Essentially, this is how it's working. Okay, but they've made it easier because the money is in your float, so they just deduct from your float, they send it to the restaurant, right? You go to the restaurant, you pick up the food, you take it to the client gives you back the 200. Okay, then for this movement you've made from the restaurant, which was our point A, to the customer, which is point B, right? Yango pays you, like, for example, food orders are very short distances, so they pay you maybe like a 20 kwacha. This 20 kwacha, they'll add it to your float as well. So you started initially with 500, you end up with like 520 in your float. Okay, so this is automatically just added to your float, the money you work for. Remember, in parcels, when you move from point A to point B, the customer will just pay you cash for that movement, right? But for food orders, first they'll pay you back the money that they deducted from your account for the food. Okay, the customer will pay you back that money. Then Yango, not the customer, Yango will pay you the money for the delivery you made. So when you move from point A to point B, Yango will pay you. In our example, you said 20 kwacha. So you started with 500, you end up in your account with 520. Remember that this 200, you have to top it back up yourself, because the customer will give it to you in cash. So you deposit it in your mobile money and you top up in your float. So it goes back to 500, all right? And plus the 20, you get 520. So that's how you earn with daily orders, food orders. So if you do 5 of these and they're all 20, you end up in your float with 600, right? So it keeps increasing. So to make it simple, what you have to know is, in food orders, I get paid in my float, all right? Then I can withdraw it later. Then in parcel orders, I get paid cash in hand for my delivery orders. That's it. The locations for food orders is very easy. You just go to places with restaurants that are on daily, right? The famous restaurant will be like KFC, Hungry Lion, Nando's, Rocco Mama's, those restaurants. There are a lot of restaurants on daily. So you just go to a place with a lot of restaurants, like a mall in town. You just go there and you just stay there. You don't have to move around or anything. All right, for daily orders, it's very simple. Okay, so this has been we've looked at the types of orders, which are parcel orders and food orders. We've looked at how float works, and we've looked at the locations where you can go. Okay,